Hey guys, so feel a lot better. Um, yeah, so I just want to say, just as frankly as possible, I am over the sort of pity party, right, or pity indulgence, and just coming to terms with my decisions, right? So at the end of the day, it's my choice to, you know, stick with my plan or to deviate from my plan. And so something that I've realized as well is sort of I mean, today, right? It is actually 9:30. It's 9:30 p.m. 9:32 on the dot, and it is Monday. So yesterday, um, you know, diet was not really good, but it was much better than Saturday and Friday. Still not going to cover the food blog content because once again, the diet, my diet was deviated from yesterday, and it actually was today as well. However, I still had a chance to meet. I just want to say I'm just super excited about today, and I actually can't wait to do Monday's video tomorrow on Tuesday, right? And part of me did want to include Monday's results, which is actually today, into Sunday's video, right? Covering Sunday and mostly Monday's video today, but just I want to stick to the plan, right? And so I just want to cover some things here, right? Just my steps. I didn't even meet my step goal yesterday based on my old goal of 10,000. Really sucked there. And for the very first time, I'm observing I didn't even meet my calorie goal of 3,500. So Sunday was, in many cases, I kind of got the feeling from that Saturday night, right? Um, Sunday was arguably the worst day. It was the worst day ever. In fact, yeah, it's probably the worst day since I started doing these videos, if not the worst day this year. However, I'm not gonna name the video that. I'm tired of going over these videos. I mean, the last two videos, right? Going over them in a very sort of defeatist mindset, and so I'm just trying to turn things back around. And so I don't want to turn this into a listicle per se, but I do have some things that I can do, right? To sort of move forward and you know, just be more adaptable. So I had some events take place on Friday, just in my personal life, like friends and stuff, and just personal challenges. I don't need to explore any details here. I may explore those details in the very distant future, but it's largely irrelevant. And what I did was I actually let myself just indulge in pity. And yesterday, when I was just engaging in just self care en route to going to the movies, this is where something actually where it actually happened. And so I had an event happen, and that event that took place, it led me to not doing my usual um, Friday shopping to do most of my grocery pickups and stuff like that, and then pick up like maybe a few hygiene products and house cleaning products. And I usually pick up a snack along the way as well, something that could be like maybe a combination of like flavored cashews and like raisins, not anything too crazy. You guys have seen that. You guys have seen the typical cashew product that I buy in my food blog, and I was late for that, or I was going to be late for that because I didn't feel very flexible in changing my movie time because that would have led to me staying up way past my bedtime. And so I ended up skipping that and just headed straight to the movie. And then when I came back, in fact, right before I saw my movie, I actually wanted to um, go to Panda Express because I was just like, you know what, I'm having such a bad day, you know, I just pretty much talked myself into visiting Panda Express. And when I went inside, I'm not sure if this was divine intervention or something, but they didn't have the item that I usually go for. and I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I really don't eat anything else besides that item and maybe a few different sides, like the brown rice or chow mein or whatever. And so it's like, you know what? Maybe I'm not meant to do that. But once again, talk myself into, well, I'm gonna treat myself somehow. And so I ended up buying some food at the movie theaters. And once I did that, then I went. Once I was done with the movie, I came back. En route back home, and then I got some more stuff. And no, actually, yeah, no, yeah. I think that was it. I think that was it was Friday, and I did recall thinking that I think that was the only thing I had. It was pretty much movie food, but it was arguably a lot, and I would definitely say that I had a light caloric deficit, probably 500. And then Saturday was when things just were really just got off the rails, and Sunday wasn't as good either. In fact, it's so bad. I mean, I could probably go back on Friday and do a recalc of the calories that I had, but it's in the past now. The video's already uploaded. I don't feel like it's necessary or appropriate to go back and do it. It's a fail in my book anyway. I'm looking forward to in this video just sort of moving forward, right, and going over things that I've used or will continue to use to sort of improve. But yeah, Saturday and Sunday, I just decided to, I said, hey, this is the weekend. I screwed up Friday, so what's one more day, right? And so I screwed up on Saturday, and I said, oh man, this is horrible. Like this is really bad. And so I just thought, well, it's Saturday, right? Might as well just finish off the weekend. And so it was Sunday as well, and then on Monday. I was just thinking, well, because I do, it was one of the reasons why I got back into control. And you will see in tomorrow's video that I did have an opportunity to log my calories because I only ate at places today that, are large enough chains to have legal requirements to list nutritional facts, right? And so I did that. And I think it's a really great log of my calories, but that will be covered in tomorrow's video in terms of what I ate today. But yeah, just really good stuff. Really good stuff in terms of calculating calories, and I went to the gym. I didn't miss out on that, and so just focusing on the pros, right? Like how I didn't screw up was I stayed away from pastries, sweets. I even stayed away from um, sugary drinks, even diet drinks that have artificial sweeteners and stuff like that. So I stayed away from sweets and desserts. I stayed away from, I think that's pretty much it. Um, the whole weekend, that's pretty much what I stayed away from. And, today that the improvement was me essentially only eating stuff that I can count the calories from. There is maybe a little bit of a maybe there's some things that are not accounted for. Like I did have like maybe two cups of not actual two cups, like not the standardized measurement of two cups, but basically there's this place called Fat Burger, ironic, right? And I did have two of those things of ketchup, so just for reference there. I'm thinking about making an estimate based on that, but I think honestly I'm thinking about not necessarily even including it because my deficit should be pretty decent. It should be pretty decent for today, and so I'm just super pumped about Monday. The fact that I do have a gym. Oh, that's another thing I didn't miss out on. Obviously, is the gym. I went to the gym today, did some resistance training, worked out all of my muscles, minus the legs. I did my incline walk today as well. Not in the morning as I should have, but I did do it before the gym, so I got that knocked out. It did seem a lot lighter. That was pretty interesting. So I actually did fill up my back. I filled up my 1 gallon water jug as I usually do, and I just put it in my backpack. Walked up the hill, and it was surprisingly not very taxing on my body, which was really great news. I'm thinking maybe it's because I had basically like 3/4 of a cup of protein powder, which translates to 300 calories and 63 grams of protein. I did notice that at the gym today, I also had just a way better pump across all the machines. In fact, I want to say across all machines, I'm looking forward to Thursday maintaining my weight, my weight load on the various machines and increasing in somewhere between out of like the 8 machines that I work on, increasing my weight on maybe four like so, yeah, like maybe half of the machines. So this is good news. I'm going to experiment and see like maybe if certain things like I don't know, maybe it's the carb content because over the weekend and stuff like that, and even today I had a lot more carbs than usual. So I don't know what it was. Maybe it was partially just anger. I know anger can be a really big motivator for the gym. And so I'm not entirely sure what it was, but yeah, I definitely had really good performance at the gym today. Very proud of myself. Yeah, I think this was a very redeeming day. Not a perfect day, but what I would consider very redeeming relative to what took place this weekend. And so I didn't want to go over. I don't want to make this a full listicle, but I do want to go over a couple of things that I believe will aid me in making better decisions. And just I actually want to, as in line with my promise, I also wanted to include video, so I'll be sharing that pretty soon. Hey guys, so here I am, video included. So yeah, I just want to start off with a couple of things that I actually do have a couple of things written down, and I actually also have some things that I did not have an opportunity to write down, but things that I were just thinking about today actually. And so yeah, so one of the things that I didn't realize until today, actually, as a point was, and it's something that has been a problem in my life since I started noticing myself, get out of shape, right? And it's basically you don't have to finish it, right? I'm someone who is very tenacious, someone who's very determined, and that energy can be used for productive means, but or productive ends, but it can also be used for destructive ends as well. And so, for myself, right, I'm someone who doesn't really like to give up, and I noticed that one of the ways that I sort of trick myself, with this energy, right, in motivating myself to do something that is destructive was I thought I might as well finish the rest of this weekend with this really bad behavior, right? It was just like, well, Friday evening, right? Friday late afternoon, it's part of the weekend, right? So you might as well just finish Saturday and then see what happens on Sunday. And then Sunday is just like, well, hey, it's the weekend, right? This is officially the end of the week, right? This is the weekend. You might as well, not stop there. And so, before, so you can say, right, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, these are 4 days. In the past, it has gone off the rails where it has been 3 to 4 months instead of 3 to 4 days, right? And so, because I'm at a point in my life where I've accumulated, just more awareness, and also just a new level of just, motivation in terms of my, health goals. I've noticed that, I've been able to catch myself, and in this instance, right? I mean, I believe the last time I messed up, it was Super Bowl weekend, right? Which is funny enough, almost exactly a month if you count the 17th as the day of March from the Super Bowl, right? And so, yeah, so one thing that I've noticed is just, when that happened, right, the Super Bowl, it was like 3 days max, right? It was a lot shorter, which is why I considered in the most previous two videos this to be the biggest step back. But yeah, before, instead of 2 to 3 months, instead of 2 to 3 days or 3 to 4 days, it used to be two or three or 3 or 4 months, where I would just go on this endless binge and I would just feel absolutely horrible. But I'm more conscious of that now, and so yeah, just now, as an adult, right, I just have a lot less,
sympathy for myself, right? It's a lot easier to engage in a pity party when you're, a lot younger and you feel like you have more time. But as I've gotten older, my appreciation and value on time has increased. And so I just don't feel like I have the time to just, indulge in self pity the way that I used to. And so that's why I'm pretty much just back on track. And I'm really grateful that I do have a routine in my life in terms of the gym, because I think that is what helped me to rebound, right? Which is going to be, the main part of the title of this video, right? Is rebounding, which is a term that I love, right? Because one of my favorite historical coaches, right, back in I believe it was the 80s for the Los Angeles Lakers, which is my team. Patrick Riley has this saying of rebounds wins rings, right? For those of you who are not basketball fans, or whatever, a rebound is when someone misses the ball and you catch it, right? So an offensive rebound is if someone on your team shoots the ball, they miss it, but then someone from your team catches the ball, the missed ball, right? A defensive rebound is when the other team shoots it, misses it, and then you catch it. And so in this case, right, it's like offensive rebounds. So essentially me catching my own mistakes and capitalizing on it and, just trying to put the ball back in the hoop. And so that's what I'm looking at, doing. And instead of like winning, a championship, for me, that championship is my goals, right? Meeting my goals and accomplishing, all the things that I want to accomplish. So I think rebounds is an excellent, title for this video. And so that's what I want to do, is just so sort of going back to the whole thing, right? The first thing that I noticed that I can sort of implement or recall as a tool for improvement and adaptability in the future when it comes to these things, right? What I would like to call emotional triggers, is realizing that I don't have to finish it. If I start a destructive course of behavior, I can end that course whenever I want to. I have the freedom to start and end and quit when it benefits me, right? This is not stopping or quitting, in the negative way, right? Like if you think about stopping or quitting, your diet, or stopping and quitting your exercise routine. So for me, it's learning that, just at a very fundamental level, it's, getting myself to understand in my brain that quitting a destructive course of behavior is not the same as quitting a productive course of behavior. If I'm doing something that I know is not good, I have the liberty, I'm giving myself the permission to quit. And so that's something that I'm considering as a tool in my toolbox. Another thing is reaching out to my support network. I don't have a lot of people in my support network, but I do have some people. And so reaching out to those people when, I am, thinking, right, or because we want to, at least I want to do things that are going to prevent, right? Not, of course it does help to have tools to like help rebound, right? But I want to make sure that I make the shot I want to make sure I make the shot instead of having to get a rebound. And so this is why I think, for me, just reaching out to my network, right? Reaching out to my support network, reaching out to people who I can call to when times are getting difficult, and just asking them for support. When I'm facing difficult challenges and stuff like that. Another thing, I actually have a couple of things written down as solutions, because I most certainly did include a lot of these items in my regret log. The only thing that is not included as a solution in my regret log is the first thing, which is the permission to quit, right? And so, just going there. Yeah. So, my regret log, or I call it regret compass, which I think this is the only time I will ever recommend something. Okay, maybe not the only time, but it's one of the very rare circumstances where I recommend something at the current stage, stage one of my videos, which is I think that everyone should have a regret log or a regret compass, because it kind of works like as an anti-compass, right, in a way. It doesn't point to where you should go, it points to where you shouldn't go. But it also, for me, it also works as a normal compass as well because um, I also include solutions because I don't like complaining because that's essentially what a regret log can be is just a series of complaints. However, when you add solutions, complaints are transformed from identification of problems. And so by identifying a problem and then supplying a solution, I think that's an amazing framework for actual improvement instead of, beating yourself up, right, which produces little to no value. Um, so instead of going over the regrets in this video, I'll just go over the solutions because you kind of already know what my regrets are, right? And so one of the things I put down here is periodically reading my regret compass, right? Especially in my book notes because I do take notes on various books that I've read. And so one of the things that I've realized that I think would be a great way to review notes and just improve and prevent a lot of these setbacks is to periodically read my regret compass, right? Because I realize that I don't do that very often. I kind of just log it down. But oftentimes, the way that I write things in my regret compass, I mean, it's almost as if subconsciously I'm writing them in a way to revisit, right? And so that's something that's value that I haven't been necessarily tapping into fully. And so that's one of the things I want to do is review my regret compass periodically. I'm thinking Sunday for me that's a day of recharge, resetting, and just moving forward, right? And so that's also when I have a little bit more time for myself, for more productive things along the lines of self-improvement. Another thing, right, in terms of the book notes, is reading some of the notes that I logged down on Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, which is a book on the Stoic philosophy, right? The way that I got triggered, my reaction to it, in more ways than one, not just my immediate reaction, but the actions that followed after that with the setbacks on diet and exercise. So for me, it's trying to embody a lot of those Stoic lessons that I learned and observed. And I'm a really big fan of Stoicism. It has helped me make really good decisions in the past. And I just feel like if I were to relive a lot of the readings and notes that I took down, because I recall, like, when I was reading that book, I recall that just my whole life around that period was just improving in so many different ways. And yeah, I just feel like by reviewing, those notes more and just going over things and just further embodying those teachings and learnings, I feel like that would be a really big improvement. So that's number one. Number two is about my appetite, right? And just my emotional reactivity to certain things, right? So I like to call these things as being tested, right? Being tested by the universe, being tested by God, whichever one suits you. And so one thing I want to do is to read the actual note. I put down here that I would read the actual list of solutions here. So there are 4 solutions, and so I've put down here to read these 4 solutions. So it's to read this note and recall the times, especially this time, in which you've indulged and regretted doing so because there was nothing pleasant in it in the first place. That's something that I feel just was just so accurate, right? I mean, I've always turned to food, right, historically, whenever I faced emotional challenges and stuff like that. But when I did it on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it just, I mean, obviously, right, there's a reason why you would eat certain things because they taste good, but a lot of these places are not really new places, right? I mean, I visited certain restaurants and stuff like that, in the past when I had a lot of free time on my hands, and it was just, oh, I'll just try this new place, or I'll just try this new food, and a lot of it is amazing, and I think it's great to have it, on occasion, but I haven't really earned that, right? I haven't earned to have a lot of those things on occasion, which is why I established the goal that I would not eat at restaurants until I hit my goal weight, right? Until or at least my high school weight. And so I think that yeah, it's just it doesn't it feels good, when you're tasting it, right? But it just doesn't feel good. Like I remember I was just kind of sluggish. My heart was, I just felt my heart beating. Just I could feel it. I'm not sure entirely if it's partially mental, if it's actually physiological, but it doesn't matter. The point is that I knew I wasn't supposed to be having it. It wasn't necessarily a new or a novel experience. It was just me going back to old habits. And I'm so glad that I had a chance to do all of this. For some reason, I was just thinking like, man, maybe I was just missing out. And it took me 4 days to realize this, but yeah, I mean, it hit me like, yeah, it's just it doesn't make me feel good. So to just eat this stuff, and when I know for a fact that I shouldn't be doing it, at least at this stage in my life, right? Like I'm in a stage in life where I'm supposed to be, improving, right? I'm supposed to be getting in better health and shape and stuff like that, improving muscles. This is not conducive to that goal at all. And so, yeah, this is something I just, and there are other notes here that are highly personal about my experiences on Saturday, which I won't go into, but it's definitely, I'll just skip past that and then read to the last part of this second note, which was recall how you were drowning out the voice of reason. Reliving this pain in your mind should be a defense against indulging, right? So I'm going to relive this experience by reading this note, right? Whenever I do have those urges to take back steps. And by reliving that pain, it should act as a deterrent, right, against indulging, right, or defense against indulging in the future, and things, and activities that don't provide me, the necessary, I don't know, just things that don't lead to productivity, right? And so that's it, right? Third and fourth are pretty short. I actually did include it. It's reach out to your support network. All right. So it looks like my very first one was, okay, sorry, that's a different one. I went over number 3 without reading off the list, but so technically didn't, I guess, whatever. So yeah, that's number 3. Reach out to your support network. I think the first one was permission to, in fact, I'll just write this down here. So pausing and I'll write. Excellent. So I have here is number 5, which was the one that I mentioned that I thought of today, which was you have the permission to quit destructive acts, and I added on another one, which was thoughts. That's a big one. So you have the permission to quit destructive acts and thoughts, right? So that's another one, is that negative self-talk. I haven't engaged in negative self-talk in so long that it became immediately obvious that I was doing it, and it was just a horrible experience of just that negative self-talk, and this is one of the reasons why I also wanted to, just make this video more about rebounding instead of just, talking so negatively about myself, right? So just, yeah, I mean, just it's really destructive. Doesn't really help with anything. I don't see how beating myself up is going to be productive. And so, yeah, giving myself the permission to quit destructive acts and thoughts, right? Or actions and thoughts. Yeah, I'm going to write that down. I like that one. Yeah. To quit destructive actions and thoughts, okay? And so going back to number 4, which is the last one of the ones that I wrote down before today, which is practice listening to and following the voice of God / the universe, right? That one is huge. I can't tell you how many times I have ignored that voice. I ignored that voice today. I ignored that voice Sunday, Saturday, and Friday. The first time I recall, the first time I recall ignoring that voice was Friday when I was at Panda Express. I thought this was like an act of providence, right? Like, oh man, it's there's a reason why I'm not going to be able to order anything, or I don't want to order anything from Panda Express. I was like, oh, the item that I usually, get is not here. I should have listened to my voice. I should have listened to that voice, right? I should have listened to the voice of God. I should have done that, and I didn't. That voice not only does it help me with, like, I mean, recently that voice would have helped me big time in terms of diet and exercise, but in terms of just habits, right? Whenever, for example, like if I wake up a little too early, the voice of God will tell me to get up anyway. If it's 4:45, just get up anyway. Um, because oftentimes, and that's naturally getting up without an alarm, but it's me, listening to another voice where, I have 15 more minutes, and then I just try to go back to bed, and then oftentimes I end up waking up way past 5. So, yeah, just listening to that voice. That voice also tells me when I should be doing something productive instead of doing something recreational. Like it tells me that I should be studying instead of, like, you know, um, looking at certain things like on YouTube or whatever. Which, YouTube is a mostly productive tool, but, almost anything can be abused, right? And so that's a big one, right? Just listening to that voice. That voice is always right. That voice is like, man, I want to say that voice is like, it's not 9 out of 10. It's more like 99 out of 100, or 999 out of, out of 1,000. It's right almost every single time. And so learning to listen to that voice could be really productive in the future. Yeah, so that pretty much wraps up sort of the 5 things that I've mentioned as things, to myself, my regret compass that I could use, right, to prevent and, yeah, just things that I can do to make myself more productive and prevent setbacks. One thing that I did want to go over as well that I'm a little shocked by is my heart rate actually went down. I'm very shocked by this. And, it makes sense that my heart rate did go up on the 18th, which was Saturday, but it kind of doesn't make, I think this, what is this, the 19th? Yeah, that's interesting that my heart rate actually did go up. We'll just expand this a little bit. Yeah, so I mean, it's the 20, yeah, this is interesting. I guess maybe, I don't know, I guess my only sort of hypothesis is because I did have a relatively, I don't know, if that's Sunday, yeah, this is all Sunday. Yeah, my only guess is because Saturday I did have an opportunity to get it. I mean, I was way more productive physically on Saturday. Another hypothesis, I just thought about this now on Sunday. So I ate a lot less food on Sunday. Sunday was a lot more emotionally taxing for me, but Sunday was a day where I had a better handle on things in terms of diet. Yeah, so I think that's probably it. Anyway, my heart rate has gone down. I'm just super curious. We're gonna cheat a little bit here by moving forward to the next day. I'm just super curious about this. This is something that, yeah. So you guys are already getting a glimpse into a lot of what my progress was. Okay, so my heart rate did go back up. So that's interesting. I don't know why. Yeah. So my hopes and my hunch is that I should hit below 73 by the end of next Monday. Another thing that I wanted to go over as well is my weight. But before I do that, I just want to mention that I do have some plans to do some very extensive walking on sometime over the weekend. So I'm going to hope that that also contributes to a much lower resting heart rate. But yeah, I have some really ambitious plans. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if instead of 15,000, this is more like, I don't know, like closer to 50,000. Yeah, I'm thinking about this in terms of, doing something along the lines where it's, I don't know, let me see if that's six. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing something that would basically be very close to 50,000 steps. Not a weekend. I know that was it wasn't a goal, but it was something I was thinking about by doing 50,000 steps on a weekend or 25 and 25. But I'm actually thinking about doing a couple of long walks on the weekend where I'm getting 50,000 steps in a single day, and I think that would be a really cool thing to, have as like, a badge of achievement. So, you're moving on to weight because it is okay. So here's my weight, and yeah, I mean it doesn't look good, right? Um, so it's 262, and yeah, that's what I weighed in for today, and so it went up. Now, obviously, I mean, just just recalling what I ate and everything over the past weekend, I know I did not gain 7.4 pounds, right? I'll just tell you guys what the math translates to on that. That means I would have had to have a caloric surplus, not just eating, but a caloric surplus, right? Let's just say, because Thursday was when I messed up, right? Or Friday was when I messed up. But this is assuming I messed up on Monday. This is assuming that I had a caloric surplus Monday through yesterday of 3,700. But I had deficits Monday through Thursday. So let's just say let's just say that this would be over 3 days. That would be a caloric surplus of 8,633. It's impossible. It is literally impossible to eat that much food. So yeah, definitely not the case there. I know that for people who are a little bit more familiar with like, weight, just fitness, yeah, I don't have to explain that to you, but for anyone who is not necessarily familiar with, everything, I feel like that has to be said here, right? And so, yeah, this is if I had to make a guess, right, I'm gonna say at the very, very most, in terms of caloric surplus, at the very most, we're talking on the extreme end, 2 pounds, like of actual weight gain, and that's like extreme. We're talking, something that would be like third standard deviation to the right kind of extreme, right? What I think this is like maybe just more realistically, this is probably a pound of actual weight gain, and the rest is just simply carbs, right? Like all of the things that I had, bread, right? Like I don't have bread, not because I intentionally don't like bread or because I've cut out bread, right? It's not because of that. It's just because I haven't found a sustainable source of bread. Most bread comes in like this plastic film, and I'm not a huge fan of plastic, and a lot of plastic has people say you should recycle it, but a lot of plastic has a very limited recycle value, or just or number of times it can be recycled. So for all intents and purposes, I consider plastics of all kind to be non-renewable, and I haven't found a reliable source of bread that doesn't come in plastic. Another thing as well is I'm really glad that I don't include bread as a normal part of my diet. I used to eat a lot of bread, particularly Ezekiel bread, and I noticed that whenever I would have it, I would just get sleepy after a meal, like really sleepy. And on a couple of occasions, I would actually fall to sleep. I haven't had Ezekiel bread or any kind of like bread, like grocery store brought bread, right? Which is what Ezekiel bread is. It's supposed to be Ezekiel bread is supposed to be like the best bread for you. I do know that just based on my bowel movement and everything like that. Like Ezekiel bread was probably like the I don't know, it's probably the one of the best things I ever used to eat. Just amazing for digestion and everything. But yeah, it just was making me a little sluggish, and so my main carb was actually for some time it was quinoa, and then as you guys know, I cut that out, and then well, I still have quinoa left that I do plan on using, but only on the weekends. However, once that supply is completely exhausted, I will use beans, is like black beans, as my carb. I mean, they're pretty high in carbs, but I wouldn't even really consider them an actual carb per se. But yeah, just gonna cut out quinoa and rice, and not because there's something inherently wrong with quinoa. It's just because black beans just have more protein, right? If I eat 2 cans of those black beans that I blogged, and you guys have seen that I blogged, right? That means I would be consuming 90 more calories than my typical serving of 1 cup of dry quinoa, right? But it's more than double the amount of protein. So that's why I've decided to swap it out. Um, so yeah, that's something I'm thinking about doing. But yeah, this number is very. I mean, this doesn't look good at all. I think the last time that I even weighed anything close to this was back in February, which is interesting. I was 268 at one time. That is just really interesting. This was about a week after I did my first video. Um, so yeah, I mean, by relative terms, it's still pretty good, which makes sense because I noticed I noticed that in the past, whenever I would screw up and deviate from my diet and just go off the rails, that my clothes would fit a lot tighter. I do notice that's like um, no, because I did recently put on some blue jeans that I haven't worn in a while because they are a little tighter. So I'm not sure if it's gonna throw me off here, but I'll say this, right? Excluding those pair of jeans and just that article of clothing, just overall, right? Just excluding it, everything, including this shirt. You guys can't see the shirt, or whatever, but this particular shirt that I have on, when I first bought it and put it on, it was just a little uncomfortable, right? It was like it felt a little tight. Now it's like it's still super loose. It's just as loose as I want to say around this period of time. It still fits pretty loose. I haven't tried any other things, right? Since then, or at least like because basically everything else that I've worn, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday, those were all pretty much shirts that were um, loose to begin with. For the most part, right, just for casual walking around. But for church, my shirt, it didn't feel loose, but it did look a little tight. Like I could see like love handles, which was something that I don't think I was able to see the last time I wore that shirt at church. But yeah, I mean, just overall, my clothes don't fit much differently. I do remember like when I was 254, like around this range, like 255.2, like right in between here and here, like my clothes fit like I felt literal space like in my jacket, my rain jacket that I've worn, right? 'Cause it's been raining for quite some time, but yeah, I noticed this is going to be a really long video. I do want to cut it short, but I feel like this video was just necessary in so many ways. I think this is probably going to be my longest video in this stage of videos, not including my concluding video for this stage, right? But yeah, I just feel like I feel better. The gym is such an amazing sanctuary for improvement. I tried to make it to church on Sunday, and technically I did go. I just missed mostly everything, but I did have a chance to talk with a couple of people and just like gather some insight on what I missed, and met some really cool people for the first time as well. But just being in church is a really nice thing. Obviously, it's nice to just it's really nice to get the sermon or whatever. So that's pretty nice, right? Actually having service. But the thing that I benefited the most from, just over the past 4 or 5 days, right, is the gym. I came back from the gym and I just feel so amazing. I feel like there's been a reset. I love the gym. That's one of the things that I will do for the rest of my life. I will always be in the gym. Being in the gym is a great way to alleviate stress. It's a great way to rebound. And yeah, I just feel so amazing. Anyway, this video is much longer than I wanted it to be, but that's it. That's all. Looking forward to positive improvement, further adaptability, more accountability, and more positive self-talk, less negative self-talk, more positive action, less procrastination, and destructive action, right? More productive action. And that's it. Thank you for tuning in.